Hey everyone, this is Georgia from Tippy.com. Welcome to our weekly show focused on everything iPhone and iPad. From news and how-tos to app and accessory reviews, this is iPhone and iPad Live. It's Wednesday, December 21st, and joining me tonight is the co-host of Iterate and CIO of Nickelfish, Seth Clifford.
Hello, Georgia. Good to have you back.
Hello, Seth. It's nice to be back. Were you all happy without me?
No, I wouldn't say that. Renee, would you say that?
Happy is a very, very broad spectrum adjective.
And that voice was the editor-in-chief of Tippy.com and my co-host on Zen and Tech, Renee Ritchie.
How are you doing, Georgia?
I'm doing well.
Did you have a nice break from Seth and I? From Seth and me?
I missed you guys, actually.
From us?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I did.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I did.
That cash we paid you to come back really worked out well for us.
It did. It didn't hurt.
No. Nice.
Well, let's get right on to it because we have a lot of news and interesting things happening. So the first off, really, Renee, we are giving away the iOS device of your dreams in our giveaway.
Oh, hells yeah. You want details?
Yeah, please. Tell me all about it.
Every week we have a new thread in the forum. All you have to do is go to that thread and leave a reply, and you're entered for a chance to win. So there's 4 weeks. You have 4 chances to enter, and we are going to give you a $600 Apple gift certificate. So you could buy an iPhone 4S, an iPad 2. You can save it and get an iPad 3 when it comes out. You can get a couple iPod Touches, 4 Apple TVs. Whatever iOS device you want, we will give you the cash to make it yours or your family's.
Now, what happens if someone missed the first week? Can they enter twice?
Nope.
Week 2?
Nope, but it's week 3 now. You can enter now, and you'll have a week 4 chance soon. But you got to get on it fast because, time is approaching.
So hurry on up because if you don't enter, we don't save it for you.
If you're not in, you're out.
And Seth, we also have the 2011 Tippy Reader's Choice Awards.
We do. We do. There's a whole mess of
what exactly is this about? What do people get to do?
There's a whole bunch of categories, and what we would like you to do is we'd like you to vote in those categories so that we can award some awards. And basically, we have the things we like, but we want to hear from everybody else, and maybe we're completely wrong, and we should be picking other things. So get in there and vote.
Do their voices matter, Seth?
Yeah, they matter, sure.
They're matter-ish. Your voices matter-ish.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of different giveaways and contests right now, and so is Santa. Yet Santa's getting a little bit of help this year, Renee.
Oh, you want to see it?
Yeah, please.
All right, let's go.
How do I get to Charlie Grant's house?
Here are directions to Charlie Grant's house.
Is it cold in Santa Fe, Raleigh, Cleveland tonight?
Really cold, down to about 14 degrees.
Find that email with the naughty or nice list.
New message from Mrs. Claus. Go easy on the cookies.
How does the rest of my day look?
You have 3.7 billion appointments.
Aw, Santa and Siri. Makes your heart warm. Here's the question. Is it fair that Apple is making a beta service the centerpiece of their marketing campaign?
Is it
Everyone else
fair?
does.
Yeah, is it fair? Because so the counter argument is that Siri, it's offline sometimes. It has sporadic results, as we'll talk about in a few minutes. And yet Apple has in a couple commercials now portrayed it as a flawless feature when it is, in fact, according to Apple, a beta feature that may or may not do what you need it to do at any given time. Like Santa could be getting, I'm sorry, could you please ask that again? Oh, the network is not available now. Sorry, Santa.
How is that different from any other service that anyone else offers? Gmail goes up and down all the time. Most of their products are in service,
Well, they actually took the beta off because people were complaining about it so much. But, I mean, they did. You could arguably say that Android was in beta for a couple of versions, and that wasn't mentioned in the commercials. But I think the thing is that Apple is held to a higher standard because what they put out is usually so fit and finished.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, you could make the argument that these are television commercials, and this isn't just like a bunch of geeks getting excited because Google rolled out a new service that isn't quite ready, for most people. I mean, there's a perception here amongst, I guess, civilians, as Phil would call them, that this is a thing and this is exactly how it works. And I guess it would be disappointing if it didn't work exactly the way it did in the commercial. But I think having grown up, all of us as adults now, realizing as children that television commercials don't always equate to a reality, I think that people can probably get on with their lives.
Those baby hippo commercials.
Like they maybe perhaps like the toy commercials that have the little disclaimer and tiny text on the bottom, like missiles do not fire and wheels do not roll. Apple could have something along the bottom like Siri sometimes, craps all over herself and can't handle your request.
That's an elegant image right there. Siri is still in beta. Some or all features may not always be available. May cause headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness.
Hot flashes.
Hot flashes.
Well, it's one of the coolest features that the iPhone 4S has, and it does differentiate the iPhone in comparison to other things. So I think that it's fair that they show it in a commercial. I don't think that they always have to do a disclaimer that it's not always going to be up. So I think that that's a fair enough thing to put down into a commercial. Is anyone complaining that Santa is in the commercial in the first place?
Don't you do it, Georgia.
No, I'm just saying.
There are kids watching.
I just thought of something. Hold on. The iPhone was on AT&T for years before it came to Verizon and Sprint, right?
Yes.
And all of those commercials made it seem like AT&T's network worked all the time. So clearly there's a precedent. Next topic.
This is a phone that I can't use as a phone.
Yeah, I think we're in the clear.
All right, so the next topic, and this is something, we discussed this a couple shows ago when Michael Rose from Tuo was on, but it got some more attention, and Georgia wanted to wait until she was back because she had some opinions on this. So, Georgia, is Siri sexist?
Well, I don't think it's a fair thing to say that Siri is sexist. It definitely, okay, well, first, Renee, why don't you go into why would people think in the first place that Siri is sexist? So we discussed before that if you asked for, any type of services,
Planned Parenthood, basically.
Planned Parenthood services, that it didn't really come up exceptionally accurately for that.
And you made a case that Apple had a responsibility because healthcare was important to make sure that that was given priority over, like, perhaps jokes or Yelp results or Best Buy results, that maybe they should prioritize healthcare.
Well, definitely over where to find a dead body. You would think that they would prioritize women's health over murderers.
So there was a guest editorial on Forbes, and the crux of this is, I guess she's saying that Apple, maybe there was a majority of the Siri programmers were male because they include funny responses to things like if you say, I'm horny, or you ask for certain male sexual gratifications, they will produce a list of results for you. Some of them funny, like a list of escort services or something. But if you ask for female-oriented sexual gratification or stuff like birth control, it will not produce results for you.
I think that it comes down to, instead of really saying sexist, it's just that the people that programmed it like it's natural nature that if that is not who you are, it's not something that you really thought about, it's not something that you're going to add into program into it. So yeah, it's probably been programmed mostly by, 20, 30 something, maybe some 40 something year old men. And these are not things that they have really thought about. I think that they should. I think that it's important. I don't think that it means that Siri is sexist. I just think that it has not been brought to the people that program its attention, that these are important issues for women and important issues in healthcare in general.
And so one of the counter arguments being made is that it's hard, maybe suggesting that it's sexist is in of itself being sexist because a woman might easily query based on horniness, or a man might query based on birth control, and assuming that those are gender specific issues is maybe not fair.
I can't say that that's a really strong argument because the difference between trying to find a mate for some sort of sexual escapade in comparison to services where you might be pregnant or wanting to have birth control, I would say as a female that the importance to one is much greater than the importance to the other.
Because a guy can just run away and a girl's stuck for 9 months.
Well, it's something that you might need help and have help right away, and it's something that's a very difficult thing to ask for and or to search for. So I think that in that way, it should be something that is changed.
Seth? Is there a truth to the fact that you can only program, like you can only, like there's this rule in writing that you can only program up to your level of knowledge. Like you can't have a character who's smarter than yourself, and you can't make a character that knows about things that you don't know about.
Well, I don't know that that really would apply to this because it's essentially a query against a database of locations. And it just, I mean, you could say, well, it doesn't understand how to parse that. But I think quite simply, this is just an issue that didn't need to be this big of a deal that got kind of blown up in the media. And granted, looking at it from one perspective, you could say, well, there's clearly an issue here that there's jokes in this thing, but this serious thing that I want to find isn't there. But the other thing is there's a lot of things that Siri can't do. And, the people who programmed it couldn't put everything in. So I'm guessing that because they wanted to differentiate it from other just kind of vanilla voice controls on phones, the things that are jokey, that's part of establishing it as having a personality, and that's what sets it apart. So if there are knowledge-based queries that it can't answer, I would imagine that over time, that's going to go away, and those things are going to kind of fall in line. The other thing is that Apple is a very forward-thinking company, and they have very liberal policies about all kinds of social issues. So I would be surprised if this was done intentionally, because I would think it would have swung to the other side of the spectrum, that this would have been something that they certainly would not have, quote unquote, censored.
So here's the other thing, and this goes back a long ways. There was this old case that said that because CompuServe didn't censor results and AOL did, AOL took on an editorial responsibility and was thus liable. Because Apple has put the effort into making Siri a personality, a Pixar character, and Georgia, you spoke about this on Mobile Nations, that because they've done this, for some things, people start to expect it for everything. If Apple had never introduced personality, it wouldn't matter if there were omissions. It would seem more like a computer thing that hadn't gotten there yet. But because they made her funny and engaging, when she's not, it's much more of a glaring difference.
I think that where it comes down to is that it's the issue of women's health, and that's something that is a huge issue for women, and it's often in the press and in the media and used politically. And so because of that, when Apple chooses by mistake, that Apple, being the type of company that it is, if you know them, would never have chosen to omit it on purpose. But it being omitted makes it seem like a glaring issue counter to women's rights. And that's where people are using it as a political kind of status against Apple.
Is it
truly
equally
not fair, but I can understand where they're coming from.
Is it equally fair to say that the programmers will program based on their knowledge and people will find offense or not find offense based on their agenda and point of view? So when those two things are most oppositional is a time when you'll have the most noise about it?
Definitely. It's just that because Apple is usually exceptionally holistic about making sure that they've covered all bases on the important stuff before they would get to something that would be kind of funny and more animated, it seems like, it just pops up as one of those glaring things that really they didn't think about that this might be important to someone. That's all.
Yeah, so I think it is something of Apple's doing because they did create Siri, so I guess there is some sort of expectational contract there, but they will never be able to make it everything. So all they can do is improve it and I guess pay attention to public perception, and the areas that are causing the most frustration or the most friction should be the ones they address first.
Well, someone else that's trying to take over everything has been stopped in their tracks. AT&T has ended its attempt to assimilate T-Mobile with quite a huge chunk of the pie that's going to be lost in this. Like $4 billion that they're going to have to lose?
So AT&T basically said that resistance was futile, and they ended their attempt to to assimilate T-Mobile. I'm of two minds of this, Seth. On one hand, it's always difficult for me when the government gets involved in the pursuit of enterprise, because it's supposed to be a capitalist society. It's supposed to be, an enterprise-based society. But on the other hand, when you're dealing with monopolies and oligopolies, the government does have a duty to protect us from companies that don't have the normal checks and balances of competition. So is this the case where the government's actually protecting consumers by ensuring that there is a diversity and there is a choice? Or are they kind of unfairly stopping AT&T and T-Mobile from making a better solution together?
I kind of feel like it's the former, that the government stepping in was a good thing, because AT&T, T-Mobile is what it is. It's not going to get a whole lot bigger, we're assuming, and that's part of the reason why this whole thing came about. AT&T wants the spectrum, they want the infrastructure, they want all that stuff. And, early on, a lot of people said, well, instead of just acquiring this other company, why don't you spend the money that you would have spent on the acquisition and, roll out a better network, roll out network improvements. And they have, a litany of arguments why that wasn't a good idea. My gut is telling me that the government stepping in is good, because over the past, several years, we've seen corporations do the kind of stuff that I guess corporations have always engaged in questionable behavior, but the whole like identifying a corporation as an individual, as a person, there's all these kinds of ways of framing the corporation in tax law and things like that. They act in their best interest. That's what a business does. They don't act in the best interest of everyone, because that's not really going to help them grow their business. So they're making choices based on what they think is the right thing to do.
Is that where we get the term maximizing shareholder value?
Yeah, and enhanced backhaul too. I'll have you know.
That sounds rude.
It's just so sad, Seth, that they're now going to be spending $4 million to nothing. $4 billion for nothing, whereas they could have been using that to make their system better.
Well, it's going to go to T-Mobile, so T-Mobile could theoretically use that now to make their system better.
They could, but really the amount that T-Mobile would actually have to spend to be fully in the game that's not even going to be close. I think that it's good, though, that the merger didn't go through. I think it would have ended up killing off Sprint, so there would have been two less companies to compete, and I think that competition would have been better. But it just seems like a real lot of waste of cash. And are T-Mobile probably going to use that towards their system? No, I think probably a whole bunch of people are going to have some great holidays.
It's party time on the Learjet on AT&T's dime. So, Seth, do you buy the argument that AT&T can't sufficiently expand LTE without the T-Mobile spectrum, or do you think that was just a ruse and AT&T will be just fine with LTE? Thank you.
I'm sure that it probably would help to have that spectrum. I'm sure it's not impossible to do it without it. Obviously they have reasons for doing it, and I'm sure that the benefit of the infrastructure is a large part of that. But I think it was also a strategic play and not just a logistical one. And I think that's where it's good that the government did step in, because we have so little competition, and even amongst the competition that we have in this country, there are varying shades of gray, and it's all kind of meshing together at this point, with data caps and contract prices and all this kind of stuff. And it feels like you either have a contract or you have a no contract phone. And if you have a no contract phone, you're probably not going to get, great service or whatever. So I just think overall it's a good thing just to have, a fourth carrier that at least has a little bit of weight that they can swing, because we just don't have enough of that. We have all the regional carriers, and I wish they would, be able to do a little bit better, but that's just not the case.
So does this mean, Renee, do you think that all of the AT&T subscribers are going to be footing the bill for this $4 billion.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, the money's going to go to that instead of infrastructure or something. I mean, these telcos have tons and tons of money, so I'm not going to weep over $4 billion for AT&T. I mean, it will hurt. It's a sizable chunk. It's interesting that AT&T was willing to put that much money into their breakup fee. I mean, they must have been really confident that this would have gone through, because that, I mean, I just said a second ago that they have a ton of money, but $4 billion is a lot of money for any company. I mean, Apple just bought a company for $500 million. They could have bought 8 of them for this amount of money.
Right.
So
well, they ended up also doing their own set of acquisition with Lingo.
Well, that was Nuance. So the Apple acquisition was an SSD company. Nuance bought Vlingo, and Nuance is the service that Apple licenses for Siri. And Vlingo was their biggest competition, and they were suing each other for a long time. But now there really is only one big player in voice recognition, and I wonder what that's going to do for us.
So, what kind of a contract does Apple have with Nuance? Can anyone else also, contract out, or do they have anything exclusive with them?
We have no idea, but Nuance does tons of stuff, so there's no way they're going to give Apple an exclusive. I mean, they have their own Dragon dictation, widely used in medical. They power tons and tons and tons of stuff. And now they're going to be probably the only big player, so they're going to have to. I don't think they'll ever do an exclusive deal. And I think it would be very painful for Apple to buy them.
So, Renee, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but does Vlingo have other features that Nuance did not already? And could this upgrade Siri to something more than what it could have been without it?
I mean, Vlingo was interesting. It did things that Siri wouldn't do, but that was mostly just an implementation. So, like the people who created Siri basically said that this was a bolt-on thing. Apple could eventually roll their own. I mean, Google hired the co-founder of Nuance to make the Google voice control stuff because he had a lot of patents in that area. So I don't think the voice recognition technology, maybe it could get better and go from 90% recognition to 92%. But I think it's everything Apple does on the back end with Siri that's really interesting. I think there'll be maybe a small benefit in recognition, but I think Apple. We had this discussion on Mobile Nations where there were a lot of people in the chat room. I don't know if you saw the Mobile Nations show yet, saying, "Oh, Siri is nothing. We've had Vlingo for years. We had voice control on Nokia in 1812. I don't know why you iPhone fanboys talk about Siri." But in my mind, Siri has almost nothing to do with voice recognition. That's just a way of passing commands on to Siri. Yes, it's important, but the things that Siri does are really so far removed from voice control. To me, Siri is to voice control what multi-touch was to resistive touchscreens.
Yeah, that's probably a very good analogy. I mean, I've used a lot of those other voice solutions, and at the time they were like, "Hey, cool, look what I can do." But nowadays they don't really hold a candle to what Siri can do and the way that it does it. So you can say whatever you like. Siri, voice control is not a new thing, but it's all in the implementation. It's all in the execution, and this is better than what you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is that what you said, Georgia? That it's because of the personality, it's because of the context, it's because of the relationships. It wasn't just because of the voice control.
Siri's almost like a actual personal assistant. They do that exceptionally well. I see people and you feel an affinity towards it. If they can continue with that and make people have a good feeling when they use their phone, anytime you can get that type of relationship, and that's why there's so much money that's spent on marketing, and it's not just about the Nike commercial is not really about how the shoes are made, or even that they can make you better or faster. They're about what you can do and what you can achieve and who you can be and how you can feel. Like even the McDonald's commercials, and they spend billions of dollars. It's about be happy and smile. And that's the way that you get to people. If you feel good using a product, if your phone becomes your friend, then, you're never going to leave it.
Sock Rollet is asking in the chat room if we know if Apple could Apple has close to $100 billion in the bank. They could buy a lot of people, but Nuance would be painful because they have agreements in place with a lot of other companies that Apple probably wouldn't want to have to take on. I mean, if Apple buys Nuance and they're obligated to support competitors or ancillary products, that's a huge, huge pain point for them, and it would probably make the deal expensive enough that licensing is a more efficient option for Apple at this point. That's my take on it, at least.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, talking about headaches, Georgia, what is this about iMessage and people with stolen iPhones?
Yeah, I'm not really sure about this, Renee, because I don't use iMessage.
Oh, that's right. You're still not on iOS 5.
I know. But yeah, the iMessage issue has been causing headaches for stolen iPhone users. Renee, what is happening with this, and how does iMessage cause a problem for people?
I have to admit, I didn't pay too much attention to this yet, but I'm gonna give you my quick take, and Seth can tell me if I'm wrong. But it looks like, let's say I have my iPhone and iMessage is set up and it's connected to my telephone number, and Georgia steals my phone. Even if I issue a remote wipe, because the SIM card is still in there, Apple is not properly obliterating that connection, and she can start iMessaging under my identity, using it and perhaps even impersonating me. And there's no good way. Well, I mean, you can put in a SIM password, and there's a couple things. We'll put up some tips on how to do that. But if you haven't done this preemptively, there's no way to later on wipe it so that criminals could theoretically use your iMessage account from your stolen iPhone.
So you could go out and message your, someone else's mom as, like, if I stole Seth's phone, I could message his contacts as Seth.
I don't think you have access to his contacts, but it would show up as an iMessage sent from Seth.
So, like, what else? Like, okay, fine, that would be annoying. But besides that, is there anything more nefarious that could happen besides that? Like,
well, I'm guessing if I message his phone number, you'll get his iMessages, and then you'd be able to reply as Seth.
His nefarious texts. But
you get all of Seth's sext sent straight to you, and you could reply back saying, "No, sorry, I'm with my other girlfriend right now."
I get a lot of sexts.
That's too
from
much
stormtroopers.
information.
From stormtroopers, it's fine.
No, I don't really. I have a question though.
Yes.
Like my iPhone 4 still actually contains the SIM that I got when I bought it that has my number attached to it.
Yeah.
When I bought my 4S, my number is active on the new SIM, but it is still technically paired to the other phone, even though there's no active at&t service on there. So is the problem really that the SIM itself can't really be blanked or nuked remotely? The SIM is written to the number and the phone has the SIM in it. So even if they were sending iMessages, it would appear that even without the service, even if you had at&t set up a new SIM for you, it's always going to be paired to that number.
Yeah, which is, again, like we talked about this with the carrier IQ and the location gate. I mean, if someone steals your phone, first of all, you probably have a lot more to worry about than your iMessage. But theoretically, they can blank your phone. But if they stick that SIM in something else, I think they get your SMS messages. So if they get your SMS and your iMessage, I'm not sure if that's a different level of oh crap.
Yeah.
Okay, so the messages are usually stored right on the SIM.
No, so it's not that the messages are stored on the SIM.
Carrier anyways. So for for iMessage, it's because Apple would have to wipe them.
So again, you're asking the non-tech guy here. The SMSs aren't stored on the SIM, but the SIM. So if you have a dumb phone, let's say you don't have a smartphone, and someone SMSs you, they SMS that number. So if I steal that phone, I'm going to get your SMSs because I now have your SIM card and your phone number. Right. If they steal your iPhone and you wipe it and they manage to turn it back on, it still has your SIM card in. So I'm guessing that they'll be able to make telephone calls if you don't call AT&T and cancel that card. They'll be able to do any telephony activities that they could do on any phone. So I'm just wondering why iMessage is yes, Apple should not cache the iMessage thing. They should check to make sure it's still valid. If you change your iMessage password, they should make sure they're querying to make sure that password is still valid before they do a handshake. So yes, there are things for Apple to improve, but again, I think that it's got Apple attached to it, so we get very panicky very quickly.
Okay. This is a problem, though.
Yes,
It's not like you said. You'd have bigger things to worry about than iMessages if you lost your phone, but it's kind of like, not talking about it is not the answer. Like, that has to be rectified somehow, because that could really cause problems.
Apple should be doing a proper password authentication check, maybe on startup, maybe if you haven't used iMessage for a while, whatever they decide the interval is.
So people would be so, like, if they actually had that, Renee, that would be so annoying.
No, not putting your password in, just Apple checking against their server. Because if you go home and change your password for your Apple ID, every once in a while, your phone should be sending that password without asking you. And if that password is changed, it should come back with an error and make you enter it again. If it hasn't changed, it should be invisible. But if it should be like your email. If you change your email password, every once in a while, it'll connect to the server to get your email, and it'll come up with a prompt saying the password is incorrect. If the password is the same, it doesn't do that. And I think iMessage should be the same.
Fair enough.
Yep.
I have been dying to get to this because Ali has been doing an awesome job. She's now doing a weekly mod. So she is now showing us how to replace the iPhone 4 vibrator assembly. This is for GSM only, but she's going to be going through every week a different type of mod and or fix it or how to for your phone. And even if you are not interested in actually doing yourself, it's really a wonderful thing in finding out how your phone works and what you can do with it.
I don't know about you guys, but to me, an iPhone is like a big, scary black box. I mean, like, we'll get to what Georgia did with hers in a few minutes, but like, I just kind of look at it, and if it breaks, I take it to the Apple store. And if it's out of warranty, I pay sometimes a lot of money to have it fixed. And Ali has systematically been going through and showing you how to change the back plate, how to change the digitizer, how to change the battery. So people who are more technically, proficient or comfortable working on electronics can save themselves a ton of cash and basically do it themselves.
And she shows you step by step how to do it. Now, again, you have to go within your comfort level. And, if this phone is exceptionally important to you, don't go messing around with it, because you are going to be voiding warranty once you start changing things and moving things up, if it's at all noticeable that you have, say, changed the screws or done anything else with the phone. I wonder, Renee, and I don't know if you or Seth would know the answer to this, but say that I just open up the back plate to my phone, change the back plate, but then put it back on with the pentalobe screws afterwards. Would that be fine? Like, could I still bring it, or would they know?
I mean, I guess it's up to the observation skills of the person at Apple. If there was visible signs that, like, you put it back in wrong or you broke something,
how badly I did.
There was something damaged inside
stripped.
But if
I think they stretch a unicorn hair across the inside of the phone, and if you take the back off, it snaps the hair, right? That's how they know.
Okay, so always put back the unicorn hair before you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Ali said, Ali and Georgia will tell you that it might void your warranty, and that's just being careful, because Apple does not mean for you to start opening up and self-serving these things. So whether they can tell or not, you might get lucky. But
they do their best actually to make sure that you won't, and they say that it's so that they can keep your product safe and working perfectly. But those pentalobe screws, which are like pretty much ones. They're difficult to get off. You have to buy a special screwdriver to do it. Is pretty much so that you won't be messing around with your phone.
So not to be like a typical Apple supporter here, but I'm guessing their thinking is that most people are Tim the Toolman Taylor, and they're gonna and then blow up the phone. Like, open it up, drop water on it, make it explode. They're gonna go to the hospital. So they want to make sure that you are like Ali will know how to open that. It's sort of like with jailbreak. If you're advanced enough to do it, you're not the person they're worried about. The person who opens it up and loses the back, and then comes to the Apple store and demands a replacement. They want to cut off the casual level of do-it-yourselfer.
Is that really what you think?
Yeah, because like I said, you got it. Like, you opened it up in 3 seconds. Ali does this all day, every day. It doesn't stop anybody who has a little bit of knowledge. It intimidates enough people who probably shouldn't be opening it from doing it.
I think that the reason that they did it was just because they make so much more money if they take care of your phone instead of you. I think it's the same reason why they don't want you, switching batteries out of your Macs or anything else.
Well, I mean, there's a trade-off. They can put
it's
bigger
money and control.
By having a non-user changeable battery, they can make a bigger battery, because they don't have to make any separate housing for it, any detachable thing. They can use all that extra space to make a bigger battery. So the trade-off for them is, we don't really care about you changing the battery. We think you'd appreciate a bigger battery more. They think they know what's better for us in all situations. They think they know what's better, and that's their modus operandi.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the bottom line. They'll make more money, they'll have to do it. And yeah, they could make a big battery and still make it something that can come in and come out because they still will have to fix your Mac or your iPhone or
Need I
something
remind
else.
you? Throw more programmers at it.
Yeah, what does that have to do with this, though?
I'm saying that it's easy to say they could make a better battery, but actually packaging a battery
their
for
batteries are actually removable in the phone, and you can actually repair them by them putting, pentalobe screws and other things. Is not so that the battery can be a larger battery. It's
No,
so
it
that
absolutely is. It's so that you don't have to have a
there's
casing.
greater chance.
If you
Yeah,
look at a battery on an Android phone that's removable, it has the plastic parts, the latch that you can open it with. It's put into a big square container so it can easily fit in and fit out. And all that takes up more space than just naked battery. So if you have a naked battery, you can fill that entire space with battery.
I kind of I see it this way. I can if I have a slow drain, I can snake the drain and see what happens and maybe pull some hair out or something and be like, "Hey, great, I freed the drain up. It's going." But if there's anything more than that, I'm going to probably call a plumber. And with stuff like this, it's like if there's something wrong with my iPhone, I can poke at it for a little while and see if maybe I can figure out what's wrong with it, but I'm not going to get in there into that tiny, tiny little space and think that I can do it properly. Like I can open up a computer, a big tower, and get my whole head in there and feel very comfortable. But
I just had a Jim Carrey flash.
When it comes to little stuff like phones, I get real nervous.
Yeah.
Well, as for other things that Apple would rather not you do, yes, they have now shown off the untethered jailbreak for iOS 5.01.
Are you excited?
I am excited. This is one step closer
to Georgia upgrading to iOS 5.
Just waiting. All the people that were so very upset at me not upgrading. Here we go. I'm closer.
Can I tell them about the challenge?
Okay.
So my challenge to Georgia, Seth, is when the iOS 5 untether is out, I would like her to upgrade to iOS 5 and see how long she can go with a stock iOS 5 before she feels the need to jailbreak. If it's an hour, so be it. If it's a day, fine. If it's a week, perfect. If she doesn't jailbreak, that's great too. But I want to see how close Apple has come to filling the needs that jailbreak used to have to fill before she decides on whether she's going to do it or not.
That's a good challenge. George, I have a quick question for you. Aside from themes, what other tweaks are you currently using with your jailbreak?
Okay. I have folders in folders in folders.
That's dumb. Okay, next.
Don't hold back there, Seth. Don't hold back.
I'm just teasing.
I also have extra icons in my base or my dock. So right now I have 5, but I would actually like 6. You have a 5 icon dock, but you don't have the Infinidock enabled? I was going to, but 5 is pretty much all that I use right now. Mm-hmm. I have a cool way to turn off my phone, so I'll try to see. It doesn't always work because again, the jailbreak, but.
Didn't work.
That actually showed up. It didn't show up that way. Let me see.
What, the little Nexus S TV tube thing?
Yeah, my little TV tube. So I have those kind of things. Of course, my screen. And
lock info, which iOS 5 does with not as much or as Georgia.
Well.
Yeah, so you can't get. Yes. Do you use the previews, the quick preview stuff? Because the iOS 5 lock info won't do that. It takes you to the app, but on lock info for jailbreak, you can quickly tap something and see the message and then flip it back. Is that something you use?
Yeah, I do. And unfortunately, because I don't have a lot of time in between when I'm seeing clients, it really does help me out, especially if there's an email. So I can just, tap it, continue doing, and not have to worry about working.
Are you still using Byte SMS? Because we don't have that yet either.
I was, but unfortunately I had to restock my phone and I haven't put it back on.
So that wasn't a huge pain point for you?
Not hugely. Not hugely so.
I'm interested in seeing how long you can go on iOS 5 before you cave and didn't jailbreak. Okay. I'm going to bet 2 days. That's going to be my bet. I'll be surprised if you go longer just because I think that you like to tinker.
We shall see. We shall see.
The gauntlet is thrown down, Georgia. You may now, like Bugs Bunny, pick it up, put a brick in it, and slap me back.
Okay, well, we'll take a peek. We'll take a peek, and
Okay.
I still don't have the iPhone 4S.
Damn it.
Getting closer to wanting, though.
Yeah, she's thought about getting it now. She's a step closer. She's actually considered getting it.
Well, if the lineups now, because of the holidays, weren't so long at every single
There's
place.
no. You don't need a lineup for an iPhone 4S. You've got to remember at 9 o'clock at night the day before to go on and reserve one. And if you had Siri, you could tell her to remind you to do it.
I was just gonna say you could have Siri do it. Oh, you
Yeah.
can't.
It's like the key to the door is on the other side of the door. You could use Siri. No, you can't.
Well, you could just manually enter it into reminders.app. You know?
Yeah. She doesn't have iOS 5. She has no reminders.app, Seth.
Oh, that's right.
And and that would never happen anyways. That manual reminder, again, I use like Post-it notes still.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
but
has
you
a
could do
Post-it
it-
note on the screen of her iPhone.
You could do it right now while we're actually talking about it, and then you could remember.
I could. Yes. I could. I'll see.
Siri, remind Georgia at 9 p.m. to order an iPhone 4S.
Here's your reminder for tomorrow at 9 p.m. Shall I create it?
Confirmed. How easy is that? Oh, but wait, it's not on your phone. So sad. So
That's
sad.
really rotten. Let's talk about something else rotten.
Okay.
Facebook for iPhone, timeline support.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't bring myself to give a damn about timeline, Seth. You?
We've had some clients ask about it, like integrating with some apps and stuff like that. Like, how can we get this timeline thing going? And this was like a month or two ago, and we were kind of like, yeah, it's not really out yet, so we'll start looking into it, but it's not out. And we looked into it and tried to enable the developer stuff, and it was just such a pain in the neck that I completely lost interest in it. But now we have to revisit it. But personally,
It's pretty.
yeah, it's pretty. It's real nice, but I don't really spend enough time on Facebook to care.
That's the thing too. It's just, I don't know. They want more of me than I want to give, Seth. It's an unequitable relationship.
Yeah, they always do.
So do you care more that Kindle has updated the iPhone and iPad app to include the newspaper, magazine, and textbook support? Seth, you said that you have Kindle on your iPad.
Yeah,
Do you use it still?
That's
Oh, the
my
iPad that's no longer with you.
So hold on, let's just cover this. Georgia has no iPhone 4S and Seth has no iPad 2, and yet you both host iPhone, among the premier
It's not
iPhone and iPad
4S
podcasts.
Live.
Okay, here's the difference. I have access on a daily basis to multiple iPads. I donated my iPad to the greater good of our developers, and I can still use it. Georgia can't use an iPhone 4S that doesn't exist. I win.
I can steal Renee's. Then
Not
it's
the same.
usually like I do something horrible to it.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
So I'm without an iPad personally until the release of the new iPad, unless I crack and take mine back.
Like for the weekend or something, give it visitation rights.
Yes, I could do that.
So,
Okay, so the Kindle update.
Yes, I'm excited about it because Newsstand is such a piece of crap.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that actually the magazine experience with the Kindle app will be better, and hence I will want to use it.
Okay,
You're going to ignore
Renee,
it as
your
well.
feeling?
Yeah, I agree with Seth. Newsstand has been a huge disappointment. I mean, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I still think it was really dumb that Apple made news. Maybe they had to. Maybe they had no choice. But if you imagine iTunes, instead of having TV shows, music, and movies, had the Warner Brothers app and the U2 app and the America's Next Top Model app, and you had to get all these different apps to watch your stuff, it would drive you mad. And they were all different interfaces, different features. I wouldn't even use them. That's why I don't use News Center. I think Apple desperately needs an iNews feature, and I'm hoping that I don't use the Kindle app right now. I use iBooks just because I don't use a lot of ebooks, and it's easier for me to have iBooks. But if this is much better, I might switch to it. So I think it's great that they're adding this feature. Hopefully, they make Apple look really, really bad, and Apple revisits their whole magazine and book strategy.
So that they can make something that's unified
Like iBooks. iBooks is great. Why not treat magazines and newspapers as an equal citizen to books and music and
I think that the reason for that is that a lot of different, well, one is that the newspapers don't want to give up and magazines don't want to give up control of
stupid
the
publishers?
way that people look, and they think that they can do it better and make it, flashier and with music and video and things that they can subscribe and add all kinds of bells and whistles. It unfortunately just ends up like a mess in which you don't actually know how to, some ways you can't get back to the home page, you don't know how to turn the page.
You get a big subscribe now ad in a newspaper you've actually already subscribed to.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific now, and there's some newspapers that do it better than others, you get a magazine that does it poorly and you'll never go back to it.
Matthew in the chat room is saying that it's another piracy hole. And if I extend that out, Steve Jobs was really, really smart. It was almost 10 years ago when he said, you're competing with free. And you've said this before, Georgia. They were stupid enough to give away all their content for free on the internet. And they are now competing with people who are happy to go to CNN.com or just look at Twitter or look at any other RSS for their news. And unless they make it a better experience, unless they give you something that makes it not worth your time to get it from other sources, they're always going to fail.
Or to just make it something that is so inexpensive that it is almost infinitesimal, like the App Store. If you're going to, something that's like, I could buy 3 coffees for the price of one.
It's so low friction, it's crazy.
3 apps for the price of 1 coffee, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I can buy 6 games and not even bat an eyelash.
You can buy an album for $10. It's not worth your time to fire up a torrent thing and go look for it.
Exactly, and then worry about the infinitesimal chance. But they start making it one as an unpleasant experience along with being an expensive, unpleasant experience. If I really want the actual magazine, it's often even cheaper to buy the actual paper magazine. And it will turn its pages, and I will always have it, and it will not run out.
And you can lend it to somebody, and you can pull out a page and make a collage out of it.
Exactly. We have the top 5 best first shooter games for the iPhone and the iPad.
FPS, baby.
Yes. So we have Modern Combat 3, Fallen Nation. Dead Space, which I've never played.
Now, I got some crap for including this on the list because Dead Space is not technically a first-person shooter. It's like a third-person shooter. You don't see through the character's eyes. You're behind him.
You see behind them.
But it is such a good game. It is arguably the best game on this list and one of the best games released last year, so I had to include it. I bent the rules.
Interesting. Well, usually you can also change different modes even in the first-person shooters because some people feel a little bit more ill when they are playing from the character's eyes in comparison to being able to see where the character is going. Nova 2, which is a great game. I really enjoy playing.
The closest thing to Halo on iOS.
Exactly. That's why I enjoy it so much. Rage HD.
John Carmack.
And then, of course, Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies.
Yeah, if you want to take your Call of Duty and eat your zombies too. And what's interesting is some of these are universal apps. You buy them once, you can play it on both. Some have dedicated apps where you buy one for iPhone, one for iPad. But all of them are, I think, really, really good takes on first-person shooters. And yes, you don't have the controls you have on a PC with a keyboard or even an Xbox or a PS3 with the joypads. So the controls will suffer a little bit. But you can actually hold it in your hands, curl up with it, and touch it. So you get, I can't say it's as good control, but it's a very different experience. Like Dead Space scared the bejesus out of me. I got an advanced copy to test out, so I had no warning, and I was playing it at night, and the music was so good, the graphics were so good. A couple times they just scared the bejesus out of me, and happily so.
Yeah, the one thing about playing a first-person shooter on your iPad in comparison to having a controller is that sometimes my finger does move off of the, say, D-pad or, it's not shooting because I'm not in the preferred space. You might want to go into the options and always optimize it to whatever is best for you.
It's a question.
Sometimes they'll be able to, you can go anywhere on the right hand of the screen and you'll be able to press it and you can end up dealing with that.
That's a good point. There's a couple questions in the chat room that I'll address. So some of these are on Rails, like Rage HD is on Rails. Some people don't like that. Some people are willing to make that trade-off. someone asked, Voodoo asked if they have online multiplayer. Some of them do. Some of them have good Game Center integration, online multiplayer, leaderboards, all that kind of stuff. It varies from app. I didn't find one that had the best of everything. So there's no like one first-person shooter to rule them all, but each one is so good in a certain area that they're worth checking out. And I think the most expensive one is like $10. So again, like that's a couple days of lattes, and you get months of brain-blowing fun.
Okay, can we go to the giveaway?
Yeah, unless Seth wants to say something about first-person shooters.
About your favorite first-person shooter. Is it there, Seth?
I don't. Yeah, I have Rage, and that's the one that I've played the most. I don't think I've played these other ones, but I also don't really play a lot of first-person shooters anymore. I don't know, I used to do that a lot, and I just kind of don't anymore. So these look cool, though. Maybe I'll give them a shot.
Your
No pun
anger
intended.
levels are lower. He's all happy now.
Yeah.
Happy Seth doesn't want to shoot people.
He gets Stormtrooper pancakes, man. He has nothing to shoot people over.
Yeah, it's true. Makes me very happy.
All right, Georgia, do you want to introduce this, or do you want me just to play the video?
Oh, okay. Play the video.
All right, hold on.
If you want.
Hey, this is your show, man. I'm just worker bee. Hold on a second.
So this is Georgia from Tippy.com, and we're going to take a look and see how to mod your phone and change it from a backing like this to be a backing like this. Okay, the wonderful thing about Unusual is that you can actually upload any picture you so wish to have on the back of your case. So I decided to go with a retro look. So I have the old Apple symbol with a cool wooden like backing. You can choose this for anything, which is so bloody sweet. So all you have to do is you have to find out which type of screws that you have. This is a newer iPhone 4, so it has the pentalobe screws, and it comes with both screwdrivers. So I'm just going to do that. Wonderful part is that it is a magnetic screwdriver, so just make sure that you are careful where you put the screws because they are really tiny. Now, all that you have to do, and I know that this might cause you some worry, is that you just have to slide the glass panel up by applying gentle pressure with both hands. See? And then it should budge, and now you may carefully remove it by just lifting it up. By the way, if you don't already know, this voids warranty. Then, place the new panel back on, and you're going to slide it slightly into place, and then place the screws back on. So here we have it. This is Georgia from Tippy.com, and these are modded backings from Unusual.
So, George, are you happy?
I love it. Unfortunately, so did someone else. It's been stolen from me. It's now my hub's phone. He stole the backplate. He absolutely adored it. But if you want your own, if someone has stolen your phone on you, and you want to do your own backplate, we're doing a contest, and it's pretty simple. You just find a picture that you really like and go to the website, upload it, and we don't have that many entries. We're giving away 5 of them. So you have a great chance of winning your own modded photo backplate to whatever you so wish. And it does void warranty, but again, as we spoke before, if you keep the other backplate, so if it busts up.
So wait a minute, I can't go to the Apple store and say, oh, my logo changed colors. There's something wrong with my iPhone. Help me fix this.
No, they probably would notice. They might not. Who knows? You could try it out.
I put the link for your contest in the chat room so people know where to go.
Yeah, go take a look. Definitely find a picture. And if worse comes to worse, if it's too many steps and it is difficult for you, just upload us your photo.
Just order one. Just order one, man.
Send us a link or just order them. They're really inexpensive.
Yeah.
They come really quickly, and it's probably one of the coolest gifts that you can give someone. And if I can do, you saw how difficult it was for me to enter DFU mode. If I can do it, anyone can.
And it's just to make sure people understand, you can do any picture you want. I mean, Georgia chose the rainbow 6 colors Apple logo, but I mean, Seth could put Tron on there. You could put anything you want on there.
Yeah, it could be a picture of the front of an iPhone just to confuse people.
It could be a picture of you staring at your iPhone so people think it's transparent.
Yes, at infinity.
Yes.
You can do whatever you want. We're going to be picking 5.
Yep.
So go on and take a look. It's a great gift, something wonderful to have. And it was also really cool to do. It is definitely a little exciting when you first slip off the back plate. You're like, oh my God.
So now, almost as happy as this made Georgia, there was something that made me really happy last week. After iPhone Live, I got an email, and it was from Marcus, the big brain behind Mobile Nations, and he was watching the show on his 65-inch television set. He got the Ustream app, he was playing it on his iPad, he hit the AirPlay button, and suddenly it was the live show on the giant screen TV. So we wrote up a quick tip. We added his picture to it. And right now, right at this moment, you could be watching us at a size nature never intended. I want to start watching some of the other Mobile Nation shows like that, because that's head at 1080p, 120-inch LCD screen just has to happen.
I'm warning you, you don't want to do that.
Like Brad Pitt in HD.
Yeah.
Did we blow through the news? Did we do sufficient justice to the week's happenings?
I think we did. Seth, did we miss anything?
No, I think we got it all.
Nice. All right.
Seth, would you ever do that, by the way? Would you ever mod your iPhone?
I wouldn't say never, but it's unlikely.
What would be tempting enough? A Tron LED phone?
No, probably not anything like that. It would probably be something to make it stronger. Like, I know there's those metal backs that were floating around. It would probably be something like that.
I think Ali has shown one of those off previously. Ali has a how to do this up if.
Yeah. I just don't really think I would do it.
So for people just to make it clear what we're doing, Ali is doing a mod, like Georgia said, a do-it-yourself, a repair every week, and Georgia's going to take some of the ones she finds coolest, and she's going to try to follow Ali's instructions and do variations of it herself.
She is the ninja, whereas I am the nematode.
You are the noob. It's ninja versus noob. But I think that's good, because you can see someone who's an expert at it, and then like if some people are nervous, they can watch you do it and see that really it's not that intimidating.
Right. If I can do it,
You can do it. Maybe Seth can do it.
5-year-old child
One day.
probably could.
One day.
Oh, I can do it. I just choose not to.
Yeah, words. It's all talk right now, Clifford.
Oh, you're going to dare me to change
I'm not daring you. I'm just saying that, there are words and there are actions. And Georgia, by actions, has proven that she has, the mod powers. She has the metachlorians for this.
Forgive me if I don't lose any sleep over this one.
Oh.
Ooh.
So I would like to say thank you so much, Seth, for coming and joining us for another week and letting me come back onto the show.
Yeah, Renee and I talked about it. We were kind of on the fence, but it's good to have you back.
Bribery works. Do what you got to.
A case of whiskey and Seth was, all turned around.
Yeah. That's all it takes.
And Seth, how do we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Seth Clifford. You can find me on the other Tippy show, iPad Live, but not for a while because the holidays and such. So you won't find me there. You'll find me on Iterate, though, with Renee and Mark Edwards of Django. And if you want to see some of the work that we do, the apps and sites that we build, please check out our website, nfidm.com. We are Nickelfish.
Damn it. Okay, and Renee, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And how do we find you, Renee? How do you stalk Renee?
You can find me at Renee Ritchie on Twitter. You can find me Renee Ritchie on Google+. You can find me at tippy.com, and you can find me at mobilenations.com, where we have all of our plethora of shows and growing.
We do have a plethora of shows, don't we?
We just added Mobile Nations Enterprise with Craig and Isaac, and that's up on the site already. And we just recorded a new Stock Talk, which goes live tomorrow. So you can find out what Apple's going to do with all their money, and can RIM survive this hit on their stock. It's an interesting show.
Ouch.
It put Kevin in a sick bed for a day, so just make sure you check it out.
And you can find me on Twitter at Georgia Tippy. You can also find me on the website, www.tippy.com. And through email, you can reach each of us on Twitter at Tippy, or you can email us at podcast@tippy.com. Leave a comment on the website when the show goes live. We're here every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. 2 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, www.tippy.com/live. This Sunday, Renee?
Yeah, we'll just make a quick announcement about this. Because it's the holidays, because this Sunday is Christmas, next Sunday is New Year's Eve, the Sunday after that, I'll be on a plane to CES. We're not going to have the Sunday show for a while, so every Wednesday is going to be iPhone and iPad live. Boy.
So they will be combined, so Don't miss it. Definitely be here.
Twice as much, twice as strong.
For all our podcasts, audio and video, including iPhone Live, iPad Live, Zen and Tech, Super Functional, Iterate, Girls Gone Gadgets, and many more that are coming up, see mobilenations.com/shows. If you haven't already, please subscribe to all our shows in iTunes and leave a rating. It helps people find the show and makes us listen through you. Thanks to the Tippy iPhone accessory store for sponsoring the podcast, and to everyone who shows up every single week to the live chat.
Our community rocks.
Awesome and loyal.
Thank you. Yep. Happy Hanukkah to all our Jewish listeners. Happy Christmas to our Christian listeners. Happy Festivus. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy whatever makes you happy.
And to a special thought to J Baby, get better fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need you.
You've been sick for too long. Get over it.
J-Baby is one of our chat room regulars, and our chat room is, if you're not in the chat room, you are missing out. Make sure you're in the chat room when the show is live. It is so much better.
And we'll be doing all kinds of amazing contests and giveaways, so by being here live...
Oh, you're just going to bribe them now, are you?
Well, no, it's true.
Yeah. No, but
it's not fair to the people that get, like...
We shouldn't tell them. They should be here just because they're here, and then we'll give them stuff, but they shouldn't be showing up just... whatever, show up to get stuff. I don't care.
Whichever way, hopefully you will enjoy it as well.